Today's lesson is on tobacco and alcohol. Tobacco and alcohol. So here are some of the key terms we are going to be looking at in today's lesson that can be found on the Google Slides. Why some people do not smoke and drink. Some people just don't really want to do it. They don't want to support the liquor and tobacco industries. They might have family members who struggle with alcohol or even tobacco dependency. Some people are put off by the bad breath and stained fingers that are as a result of smoking. They understand that smoked tobacco is performance reducing substances, and it is maybe against their values and their commitment to health. Nothing wrong with wanting to live this kind of a lifestyle. So this is something that I would encourage all of you to kind of live that kind of a lifestyle where you do not smoke and drink. Okay, but why do some people decide to smoke and drink? Well, maybe curiosity, people they like and respect, they see doing it. Right? A lot of times, yeah, we mimic the people we admire, and if they smoke, they drink, we want to be like them. They don't see how it will do them any harm, and people in positions of authority told them not to do it. So sometimes they might do it because it's a form of rebellion, as well as some other reasons as we've talked about in previous lessons. So, tobacco, smoke, sticks, whatever you want to call it, it's crushed dried leaves of tobacco plant. There's nicotine in tobacco, and it's largely responsible for the short-term effects of smoking and its addictive nature. Understand that there is no legal age to smoke. However, in Ontario, you cannot buy cigarettes if you are under the age of 19. Understand that we are going to focus on the cigarettes, tobacco, particularly. We will be addressing e-cigarettes in another lesson. So, continued, tobacco can be smoked or chewed, right? There is such thing as a chewing tobacco. There were sometimes baseball players would be were known for being chewing tobacco while playing in the old days. Only natural source of nicotine, one of the most addictive substances known to scientists, and that's nicotine, which is also, don't be fooled, commonly found even in e-cigarettes. So tobacco contains more than 4,000 chemicals, 40 of which are carcinogens. So carcinogens are cancer causing. Some short-term effects of tobacco: heart rate and blood pressure will increase, breathing gets faster, dizziness, skin will become cooler, diarrhea, vomiting, brain and nervous system will speed up and then slow down, appetite will decrease, reduced fitness and athletic ability, and smoker's breath. Understand that these are just some short-term effects. Some of these short-term effects are not affected by all. Some long-term effects about tobacco: your blood vessels in your heart and brain will narrow, which will slow down your bloodstream, causing a greater blood pressure, shortness of breath, coughing often, more likely to get an infection in the lungs, and maybe even possibility of pneumonia, cancer of the lungs, mouth, larynx, esophagus, bladder, kidney, etc. So many places in which cancer can be caused as a result of long-term effects of tobacco usage, especially if cancer is genetically in your ancestry. Possibility of stroke, stomach ulcers, cardiovascular disease, as well as poor dental health. Okay, so here's an image I found online that talks about the anatomy of the cigarette, and look at the number of chemicals that are found. Like, I don't understand how people use this stuff, right? Think of ammonia can be found, nicotine, toluene, hex, like, so these are some chemicals that common people, as a chemistry teacher, I know a lot of these, but common person really doesn't understand. Look at that methanol here, carbon monoxide, arsenic, which is a poison, cadmium, which is found in batteries. So again, just the thought of people taking this stuff in here, DDT, which is an insecticide. Again, take your time, go through this slide with the anatomy of the cigarette. Anyhow, moving on to secondhand smoke. Exhaled smoke from a smoker or smoke from a smoldering cigarette is breathed in by another person, hanging out at the entrance of a mall where all the smokers are hanging out. Not exactly the place to hang out if you're a non-smoker, because of the secondhand smoke that you're inhaling. So a person exposed to secondhand smoke is more likely to develop respiratory problems like coughing and phlegm, buildup in their throat, chest discomfort, and the possibility of developing heart disease. So again, stay away from smokers. So secondhand smoke causes about 1,000 deaths in Canadian non-smokers each year. Children whose parents smoke tend to have more ear infections, chest infections, and the possibility of suffering from asthma. Rewards of not smoking: you're reducing your risk of lung cancer and other cancers. You're reducing the risk of a heart attack, of stroke, of chronic lung disease. So to be honest, these are all great rewards for not smoking. So don't smoke. Don't pick up the habit. Stopping to smoking reduces the risk of smoke-related cardiovascular disease by as much as 50% in 1 year. If you are a smoker, by stopping, that's how much it can affect or improve, or at least lower your risk of cardiovascular disease. Other rewards for not smoking: more money in your pocket for other things, because cigarettes are very expensive. You're also withdrawing your support of the tobacco industry. If you don't buy cigarettes, the tobacco industry will not profit. You can participate in physical activities more comfortably because your cardiovascular system will be so much more cleaner without that smoke going in. No more foul smelling smoker's breath, right? Smokers will have that smoker's breath. Yeah, they'll try to, mask it with chewing gum and mints, but really it's hard to get rid of. Fewer visits to your doctor because you're going to be a lot healthier by not smoking. And no more freezing outside during our Canadian winters, because let's face it, you can't smoke indoors. So where are you going to smoke? You're going to smoke outdoors. And if you're living here in Canada, as we all do, or those of you who are in my class, we live in Ontario, and yeah, our winters are pretty long. So the only place to smoke is outdoors. Let's move on to alcohol. Alcohol produced by fermenting or distilling various fruits, vegetables, or grains. Pure ethyl alcohol is mixed with other ingredients that affect the color and reduce the alcohol content. So aside from caffeine, the most used substance in Canada and around the world is alcohol, right? Many people use caffeine, but pretty much aside from caffeine, alcohol is one of the most used substances in Canada. So alcohol content of a standard drink, yes, they all might have a certain different percentage. Okay, however, they're all pretty much equivalent to the one standard drink. So one standard drink of beer is equal to a 5-ounce glass of wine, which is equivalent to a 1.5 ounce of straight alcohol, which is at 40% alcohol. So let's look at the blood alcohol content, the BAC, which is typically tested during ride programs where they are giving you a breathalyzer. So the amount of alcohol in the bloodstream, a measure of how much a person will be affected by the alcohol. So it depends mostly on the amount that was consumed at any given time. So how much you consumed within maybe an hour. What is your body size, right? The larger you are, the more you're able to kind of, I guess, drink, so to speak. So the effects of alcohol might take a little more time for someone who's larger than someone who is smaller. Your gender, males typically can consume a little more than females. And another factor that depends is your metabolism. How does your body metabolize alcohol? Understand that alcohol is a toxin, and that your body will do whatever it can to rid the body of this toxin. So it is a weight gaining problem as well if you're a heavy drinker. Anyhow, how a high BAC affects the body. So a BAC of about 0.02 grams percent, the drinker feels very relaxed. They can cause drowsiness, dizziness, and reddening of the face depending on the person. Drinkers feel more sociable and more self-confident, right? That's why they call alcohol liquid courage, right? Liquid courage. Because it helps boost their confidence level. But for some, it could actually make them angry. For others, maybe even depressed or even withdrawn. So even though it's known as liquid courage, from person to person, that response to alcohol can vary. So why take that chance? How a high BAC affects the body. So understand that the acceptable level is 0.08. At that point and greater, you're considered drunk, legally drunk. So if you are between here and here, you're impaired judgment. You have an impaired judgment, so you cannot really think properly. Your judge's inability to judge distance. Okay, so your impaired reaction time and hand-eye coordination is greatly reduced. You will stumble when walking and your speech will be slurred. So all the more reason as to why are you getting behind the wheel. So I don't understand when adults or even teens who decide to drink and drive. BAC levels above the range of 0.4 to 0.6 grams percent is usually fatal, as the brain's control over breathing is actually blocked. Okay. So long-term effects of alcohol: liver damage, heart disease, ulcers, certain types of cancer, blackouts, brain damage, and sexual problems. Alcohol and the law: liquor control regulations. So they govern the sale and advertising of alcohol. So they have a legal liability. Individuals responsible for actions of persons under the influence of alcohol. So understand that bartenders, wait staff, they are responsible for the customers who come in. So it is important that even they monitor how much alcohol they are serving their customers. So it's not just a free-for-all when people go out to restaurants and drink. Bartenders and wait staff do have a legal obligation to prevent someone from continuing to order. There's a national legal limit for impaired driving of 0.08. That is the magic number. That number or higher, and pretty much you're in big trouble if you are caught behind the wheel. And to be honest, really, your levels should be 0.0, because again, from person to person, even a slight increase from that 0.0, right? No alcohol to a little bit of alcohol can impair your judgment. Alcohol abuse and dependence. There are problems linked to alcohol abuse: inability to meet work, school, or family responsibilities, arrests for drunk driving, and even car crashes, drinking-related medical conditions, like some medical problems like liver damage and whatnot, loss of non-drinking friends, right? Really, your non-drinking friends aren't going to want to hang out with you if you've got a problem with alcohol abuse, as well as you are going to have a loss of interest in non-drinking activities. So if an event does not, offer alcohol, you're not going to want to hang out there. right? So if your friends want to go to a non-drinking activity, you're not going to be wanting to enjoy it if you are abusing alcohol and have a great dependence on it. Alcohol abuse and dependence is continued. Signs of alcohol dependence: drinking in larger amounts or over longer periods than intended, attempting to quit drinking without any success, spending a lot of time on drinking or on obtaining alcohol, and neglecting daily activities. Understand that so-called drunkenness feel can be there can become a tolerance with a lot of drinking. So the feelings you might get after having one or two drinks, if you're doing it on the regular, sometimes it might eventually take you 3 or 4 drinks to feel that way. So understand that sometimes that could impair your ability to think straight. You might think, hey, I had 2 drinks. I don't feel the same as I used to feel, so I am ready to drink. And if you think that, well, you never know when something bad can ultimately happen. Factors that can lead to alcohol dependence: continued frequent social situations that encourage drinking. Right? You're going to want to go to places where they're offering drinks. Hey, free open bar, let me go. Right? Mental health problems. Excessive stress and unhappiness in one or more areas of life can lead to alcohol dependence. One or both parents dependent on alcohol and alcohol abuse in early years. There is an organization known as MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and you can visit their website at www.madd.ca. Anyhow, I'm sharing this photo here because it's a tragedy that even bothered me when it had happened. A drunk driver back in September of 2015 crashed into this family as they were coming home. The reason why it bothered me so much was, well, first of all, as a parent of a little child, thought of losing your kids, it just sounds devastating. But I drove by that intersection about an hour before that tragedy had occurred, and I think knowing that, hey, I could have been in that at that intersection at that time, but there was an unfortunate, I guess, a poor judgment on the part of the drunk driver who thought, hey, I can drive home, smashes into this family's vehicle and takes out the entire family. Just a great tragedy here that had happened to the Neville Lake family, including losing their 65-year-old grandfather. So again, if you know someone who is going to drive drunk or even drive just slightly impaired, do whatever you can to prevent them from getting behind the wheel. It's not just for their safety, but everyone else on the road. And make sure that you do whatever you can to prevent them from driving and prevent the possibility of someone else's family from being taken away from them.
I hope you liked this video. If you did, do not be shy to hit that thumbs up button. And while you're clicking the thumbs up, click on that subscribe to stay tuned to my new videos. Thanks for watching.